Chosen one attorney already knows that the money and property are yours and the season of delay has officially expired. You've felt it your entire life, that quiet, unshakable certainty that something substantial belonged to you, something that was taken, withheld, rerouted, and buried under paperwork, but what was delayed is now being released and you are positioned to receive it fully. Right now, the attorneys representing the people who stole from you are in emergency mode. They're holding crisis meetings at strange hours. They're making frantic calls asking if anyone remembers exactly how those documents were filed, who signed what, where it was stamped, what story they told, and what corners they cut. They're searching for loose ends. They're scanning for paper trails they forgot to erase. They're trying to figure out if there's a witness they underestimated, someone who might finally speak. And what these professionals are discovering is terrifying them, because the legal framework they built to protect the theft isn't solid. It's full of holes, gaping, obvious holes that any competent attorney would spot the moment the light hits it. Their entire strategy was based on one assumption: that complexity would equal protection, that if they buried the truth under layers of legal jargon, procedural loopholes, and endless technicalities, nobody would ever be able to reach the core. But complexity only works when nobody is looking, and now everyone is looking. They're realizing the delay tactics that used to work won't work anymore. Every motion gets scrutinized now. Every continuance request gets questioned. Every attempt to postpone, reschedule, push things back, or stall the process meets a wall of judicial impatience. Judges are tired of the games. The desperation is obvious and the patience for it has run out, and you need to understand what delay tactics really are. They're the bread and butter of attorneys who know the truth isn't on their side. When you can't win on merit, you try to win on endurance. You drag it out until the other side runs out of money, runs out of energy, runs out of hope. You bury them in paperwork. You demand endless discovery. You file motion after motion knowing most will get denied, but each one burns time, drains resources, and tests how long someone can keep standing. That strategy only works when the other side is weak, when they're isolated, when they're unsupported, when they're fighting with empty pockets and a tired spirit. But you're not in that position anymore. Not now, because while they were sleeping, the spiritual realm was building your case. While they were plotting, the universe was organizing evidence. While they were counting on silence, God was preparing witnesses. While they were hoping you'd run out of strength, provision was being lined up, support, strategy, timing, favor. You have what you need to outlast every attempt to wear you down, and that reality is becoming crystal clear to them. Right now, documents are being cross-referenced. Records that were never meant to be compared side by side are being examined together. Files that used to sit in separate places, protected by distance, confusion, and assumption, are now being brought into the same room under the same lens by people trained to spot what doesn't belong, and the fraud is so obvious now it's almost laughable. Signatures that don't match. Dates that make no sense. Notarizations that allegedly happened when the notary wasn't even in that city. Legal impossibilities that everyone accepted because no one was looking closely enough until now. And here's what they're really afraid of. These attorneys don't just have a case to defend, they have reputations to protect, or at least they did, because once the legal community finds out what happened, certain names become toxic. Other attorneys won't want to work with them. Judges won't trust them. Clients will distance themselves. The Bar Association will start asking questions. Investigations will open. This isn't just about them losing against you. This is about them losing their livelihoods, their credibility, their future. And now the shift is happening. Whistleblowers are coming forward. People who worked in those offices are finally speaking up. Paralegals who saw documents being altered are stepping into the light. Legal assistants who overheard conversations about hiding assets are cooperating. Junior partners who stayed quiet because they needed their job, because they were scared, because they were new, because they didn't think they had a choice, are now realizing that being a witness is far safer than being labeled a co-conspirator. So they're choosing truth, they're choosing survival, they're choosing to get ahead of the collapse, and the process that is destroying the opposition is discovery. Discovery is that season where everything gets pulled into the open. Both sides have to share information before trial. Documents get exchanged, emails get demanded, text messages get disclosed, financial records become accessible, timelines get tested, and suddenly the entire story has to stand up in daylight. They assumed the digital trail had been cleaned up. They thought incriminating emails were deleted. They believed paper files were destroyed. But here's the truth. Nothing is ever really gone. Not when it mattered, not when it was recorded, not when it was touched by intent. IT specialists can recover deleted files, backups exist. Servers remember, metadata tells stories, and what they tried to bury is resurfacing, because this is what happens when it's your season. Chosen one, this isn't just paperwork moving, this is a divine exposure. This is the end of a chapter where people thought they could outsmart consequences. The delay tactics have expired, the loopholes are collapsing, the cover stories are cracking, and the same system they used to hide the truth is now becoming the very system that reveals it. Stay steady. Stay focused. Don't panic. Don't get distracted, because when the tables turn like this, the opposition doesn't just lose the case, they lose control, and what they once withheld from you is coming back with force, because what's yours doesn't vanish. It waits, and now it's being released. Phone companies keep records. Cloud backups exist, quiet, forgotten vaults people swear they deleted until the day the truth decides to resurrect itself, and right now your attorneys are finding everything. Every scheming email outlining how to hide your inheritance. Every text threads coordinating with family members about keeping the lie alive. Every memo, every strategy, every polished legal sentence designed to keep you blind while they smiled in your face. It's all surfacing in discovery, and opposing counsel can't stop it because the law doesn't care about their panic, it requires disclosure. And there's a moment in legal battles when the other side knows the fight is already over. It isn't the verdict. It isn't the trial. It's discovery, when the evidence is compiled, reviewed, and laid out like a map of every mistake they thought would never be seen. That moment has already happened in your case. They've already looked at the pile. They've already read enough to know they're finished. What you're seeing now is not confidence, it's damage control. How can they soften the impact? Can they negotiate a settlement that keeps the ugliest proof from becoming public record? Can they pressure you to quietly accept returned assets in exchange for not pursuing criminal charges? Can they salvage even a sliver of reputation from the wreckage that's coming? But listen closely, chosen one, you hold all the cards now. You are not negotiating from weakness anymore. You are negotiating from absolute strength. The other side needs something from you: mercy, discretion, a willingness to accept less than full justice just to end it faster, and you get to decide whether any of that is deserved. If this is hitting your spirit, hype this video so more chosen ones receive this message, because what's happening here is bigger than a courtroom. You need to understand something crucial. This isn't just a legal battle, this is spiritual warfare. Wearing a suit and carrying a briefcase, and you don't fight spiritual wars alone. You have an army behind you that your enemies can't see, can't bribe, can't intimidate, and can't defeat. Your ancestors are furious, those who worked themselves raw to create generational wealth that saved, sacrificed, invested, and dreamed that their descendants would have doors they never had. They are watching from the other side of the veil, and they are done being patient. Something ancient is moving now. Something protective, something relentless. This is cosmic payback being orchestrated with precision. Ask yourself, why is all of this coming to light now? Why not years ago? Why not later? Because divine timing doesn't miss. You are finally ready, strong enough, wise enough, mature enough to hold not just the wealth, but the responsibility that comes with it. If this inheritance had landed in your hands too early, you might have wasted it, leaked it, mishandled it, or tried to buy love with it. You might not have had the discernment to protect it. The delay wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every struggle you endured while others lived comfortably was forging you into someone who could carry power without being corrupted by it. The universe didn't make you wait to break you, it made you wait to build you, and while you were growing, your guides were working. Quietly, patiently, strategically behind the scenes, they moved people into position and arranged circumstances like chess pieces. They aligned the right judge, the right witnesses, the right evidence at the exact moment it would matter most. That's why things are surfacing now. That's why the walls are cracking now. There is a protection around you that the opposition cannot penetrate. They can hire the most expensive attorneys, they can posture, they can threaten, they can spread lies. Smear your name, try to isolate you, try to turn people against you, but none of it will work because you are covered by something they can't fight with money, manipulation, or intimidation, and the spiritual realm is confirming it to you in real time. Signs are showing up. Synchronicities, repeating numbers, dreams that feels more vivid than waking life. Moments that stops you in your tracks because they're too precise to be random. These aren't coincidences, these are confirmations the universe is telling you. Stand firm, trust the process. Understand that even when it looks like nothing is happening, everything is happening. You might feel alone sometimes in this fight. You might feel misunderstood, isolated, exhausted, like nobody can see the weight you've been carrying, but chosen one, you are not alone. Not even close. There is an entire spiritual army surrounding you, angels, ancestors, guides, moving in concert to ensure you receive what's yours. And hear this clearly. This is bigger than money. This is about destiny. This is about restoration. This is about the return of what was stolen and the end of a cycle where your name was treated like it didn't matter. The wealth that's coming isn't just a gift, it's a tool. It's fuel. It's leverage. It's protection. It's the resource that will help you step into the role you were born for, because this isn't just about getting paid. This is about taking your place, and now the universe is clearing the path. Chosen one, this is not just about money returning. This is about your mission being funded. Resources for the assignment you were put on this earth to fulfill. The universe never intended for you to spend your life in survival mode, scraping, stressing, shrinking. It wants you thriving, stable, protected, and powerful, because when you're resourced, your purpose moves faster. When you're supported, your gifts stop getting delayed by desperation. This is provision with a purpose, and understand this case isn't going to land in the hands of someone who can be bought. The judge assigned to your situation won't be a pawn. The universe has already selected a person with a sharp eye for corruption, someone who values justice over connections, truth over appearances, integrity over influence. This judge is going to look at what was done to you and feel personally offended by. Not emotionally manipulated, morally offended, and that matters, because when a judge has discernment, the tricks stop working. Every loophole the opposing attorneys try to wiggle through, every delay tactic, every procedural maze, every attempt to confuse the issue and bury the truth under a mountain of paperwork, it will be cut through like fog in daylight. All of it will be stripped down to the heart of the matter, and the heart of the matter is painfully simple. Money and property that legally belongs to you was taken through fraud. People who had a duty to protect your interests betrayed that duty. Professionals who were supposed to uphold the law broke it, and now the universe is not asking politely anymore. Now it's correcting it. Yes, you're going to need an attorney, a good one. Someone seasoned in inheritance disputes and family law, someone who knows how these games are played and isn't afraid to call corruption what it is. Someone who can stand in rooms full of polished lies and still speak with authority. That person exists, and the universe is already arranging the connection, timing, referrals, introductions, the right conversation at the right moment. You may be thinking, how will I afford this? Because the opposition has resources and they've had time to build a fortress with what they stole, but don't let that fear take the wheel. Financial support is coming. Someone will step forward. Could be a family member who finally wakes up and decides to back you. It could be a lawyer willing to take the case on contingency because the win is obvious and the evidence is heavy. Could be an unexpected windfall from a completely different direction that shows up like a door swinging open. However it arrives, hear me, you're going to have what you need. Now let's be honest, the legal process isn't instant. These things take time, but there's a difference between delays then and delays now. Before, every delay meant they got to enjoy stolen wealth longer. Every postponement worked in their favor, but now? Every delay is just them postponing inevitable loss. The truth is already out, the evidence is already compiled, the outcome is already leaning toward justice. They're not delaying victory, they're delaying the moment they have to face it, and here's what shifts everything. Injunctions. Preliminary injunctions are going to freeze assets. Properties can't be sold anymore. Investments can't be liquidated, accounts can't be shuffled around. Nothing can be transferred to relatives in backdoor deals. Nothing can be moved offshore to disappear. Everything gets frozen solid until the court decides who it truly belongs to, and that decision is waiting for them like a closing door. Imagine their panic when those injunctions get served. When reality finally interrupts their illusion. When they realize the house they bought with your money can't be sold, that the investments they made with your inheritance can't be touched, that property can't be handed off to someone else to hide it, their access will be cut, their freedom to shuffle and conceal will be sealed. Everything will be standing still, waiting for justice to speak, and during this process you're going to see things that shock you. Evidence you didn't know existed, testimony from people you never expected would support you. Documents that prove what you suspected but could never verify. It's all coming out, not pieces, not fragments, the full story. You're going to find out exactly how much was taken. Not the watered-down version they would have admitted to if they were forced, the real numbers, the real value, the real scale, and it's going to be more than you thought. Significantly more. More than your mind initially allowed itself to imagine, because lies were told about the value all along. They didn't just hide the inheritance, they minimized it, they redefined it, they disguised it, they made you doubt your own instincts. But forensic accountants don't deal in stories, they deal in trails. They track every dollar. Where it came from, where it went, how it was invested, how it grew, who benefited, who signed, who authorized, who withdrew, who transferred. Nothing stays hidden when professionals start pulling threads. Every secret account, every hidden asset, every forgotten investment, every attempt to move money offshore, every quiet transfer to a cousin or an unrelated business. It gets uncovered. It gets documented. It gets presented with receipts that don't care who gets embarrassed. The physical evidence is going to be overwhelming: bank records showing transfers, property deeds showing ownership changes, Investment accounts showing who benefited, tax returns showing income from assets that should have been yours. Paper trails that tell the truth even when mouths won't, and once that evidence is organized, once it's laid out clean, chronological, undeniable, the opposition won't be fighting to win anymore, they'll be fighting to survive the consequences. Chosen one, stay steady. This is the part where your faith gets tested, not by losing, but by watching justice take time. Don't confuse not instant with not happening. The wheels are turning, the doors are closing, the nets are tightening, and what was taken from you is moving from their hands back into alignment with your destiny. Financial statements are speaking now clearly, loudly, and without mercy. They prove a lifestyle lived far beyond legitimate means. The numbers tell a story no one can spin, soften, or talk their way around. Ledgers don't lie. Spreadsheets don't forget. Expert witnesses are preparing to testify about the true fair market value of what was taken from you. Forensic accountants who traced every dollar with surgical precision. Real estate appraisers who valued every property honestly. Financial analysts who calculated exactly how much your inheritance should have grown if it had been managed with integrity instead of greed. And when those figures are finally presented together, the total will be staggering, far greater than anything ever acknowledged publicly. Far greater than what you were led to believe. And understand this clearly. You are entitled to all of it, plus interest, plus penalties, plus consequences for every year it was withheld. Now the ripple has reached a new layer. Insurance companies are involved. Malpractice insurance for attorneys is being triggered. Errors and omissions policies are activating. Fidelity bonds are coming into play. These insurers are reviewing the evidence and realizing they're facing massive payouts, and they don't take that lightly. They're hiring their own investigators, bringing in their own attorneys. Not to protect the people who stole from you, but to protect themselves, and in the process they're uncovering even more fraud, more inconsistencies, more proof they are doing your work for you now because their money is on the line behind closed doors. Opposing attorneys are having conversations with their malpractice carriers that are going very badly. Hard questions are being asked. Did you know this was fraud when you participated? Did you document your concerns? Did you advise your clients against this? Did you warn them of legal consequences, or did you help them proceed anyway? And those answers matter, because if the insurer determines there was intentional wrongdoing, coverage can be denied. And if coverage is denied, these attorneys are personally liable. Not symbolically, personally. Every dollar of damages, every penalty, every sanction, their homes, their retirement accounts, their savings. Everything accumulated over entire careers becomes exposed. That is the reality pressing down on them right now. That is why hands are shaking. The legal community is smaller than most. People realize attorneys talk constantly. Word travels fast, and right now your case is circulating through law offices like a warning flare. Conversations are happening about the evidence that surfaced, the tactics that collapsed, the judges who are done tolerating delay games. Every attorney who hears about this is making a mental note to never touch anything remotely similar. Your case is becoming precedent, not just legally but culturally. Your victory is going to change how inheritance cases are handled going forward. Courts will become more skeptical of trusts designed to obscure ownership. Judges will scrutinize signatures more closely. Bar associations will investigate complaints more thoroughly. Policies will tighten. Oversight will increase, and all of it traces back to one thing. You refuse to let injustice disappear quietly into the shadows. There's something almost poetic about how this is unfolding. The very legal system they believed they had mastered is now turning on them with full force. The rules they assumed they could manipulate are being applied to them without mercy. The technicalities they once used to delay justice are now accelerating it. Everything they relied on has become a weapon, this time in your hands, and watch closely what this pressure is doing to them. You can see it if you pay attention. Sudden weight loss or sudden weight gain. Dark circles under eyes that once projected confidence. Hands that tremble when holding documents. Stress-related illnesses appearing out of nowhere. Their bodies are manifesting what their spirits already know. Debt is due. The universe collects what is owed on multiple levels at once. Legal consequences are only the beginning. Physical and emotional consequences follow naturally. Their professional lives are unraveling in real time. Client relationships are fracturing. Other clients they represent are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. If they did this to you, what might they be doing to us? Are our assets actually safe? Are our matters being handled honestly? Can we trust anything we've been told? And once trust cracks, it spreads fast. Like a disease, these attorneys aren't just losing one case, they're losing confidence, credibility, and clients they once represented successfully, and they can feel it. The ground beneath them is no longer stable. Chosen one, this is what exposure looks like. This is what accountability feels like when it finally arrives. You didn't ask for this battle, but you were prepared for it, and now the system that once shielded wrongdoing is correcting itself through you. Stay grounded. Stay patient. Stay clear, because what's happening isn't random, it's inevitable, and the same truth they tried to bury is now standing up, documented, verified, and unstoppable, carrying your name with it. Chosen one, for decades they built a whole life on what they took from you. Decades, and every comfortable moment they enjoyed came with a cost they thought would never be collected, but now the bill is due and the collection process has already started. Now let me put you onto something real. Destiny Engine. I built this because I was done watching chosen ones get dragged through betrayal, isolation, and attacks while their enemies strutted around like consequences don't exist. I wanted to create something that accelerates divine justice and helps you step fully into your assignment without you having to exhaust yourself trying to fight on every level at once. And the beauty of it? You don't have to lift a finger. Destiny Engine doesn't just motivate, transmutes. It takes their downfall and flips it into your rise. This isn't another meditation app. This is declassified consciousness technology, the same mind programming tools your enemies used to install fear, competition, and scarcity, re-engineered to restore your sovereignty and align you with an upgraded cooperative operating framework. It generates personalized sequences mapped to your divine purpose. The hardest thing you'll do is put on headphones, press play, and watch your enemies keep digging their own grave. The collective upgrade is already underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and turn everything they did to break you into fuel for your rise. Link in the description. Now back to the case. Depositions have been scheduled. These are not casual conversations. These are formal questioning sessions under oath, with a court reporter documenting every word, every pause, every dodge, every contradiction. And opposing counsel is dreading these depositions because they already know what's coming. They know the questions that are going to pierce through the performance. They know they're going to be asked about documents they can't explain, decisions they can't justify, communications they wish never existed. And in that room, they only have two options: answer truthfully or plead the fifth. Either way, they lose, because taking the fifth in a civil case creates what's called an adverse inference, meaning the jury is all owed to assume that if you refused to answer, the truth would have been incriminating. So even their silence becomes evidence. Even their refusal becomes a confession without words. There is literally no good move left on the board. Every path leads to the same destination: exposure and loss. And here's what makes it worse for them: the paper trail is massive, extensive, detailed, layered. Trying to explain it away would take days of testimony, and the more they talk, the uglier it gets, because every explanation creates another hole. Every justification adds another contradiction. Every attempt to sound reasonable only makes it more obvious to objective listeners. This wasn't a mistake, this wasn't a misunderstanding, this was calculated theft dressed up in legal language designed to look legitimate to casual observers. But this isn't casual anymore, this is under a microscope now. And chosen one, your ancestors are working through people you don't even know yet. Strangers, complete strangers, are going to feel inexplicably compelled to help you. Professionals will reduce their fees dramatically or work for free because something about your story pierces them. Witnesses will come forward with information they've kept buried for years, out of fear, out of pressure, out of survival, because the spiritual realm doesn't operate by floating signs in the sky. It operates through human vessels in the physical world, and right now those vessels are mobilizing. Quietly, precisely. On your behalf, there's going to be a moment in the courtroom when everything shifts. You'll see it. The judge's expression will change from professionally neutral to visibly disgusted. There will be a second, an exact second, where you can tell they've decided these attorneys and those family members deserve the harshest judgment. The law allows that moment is coming soon, and when it happens, you won't have to guess. You'll feel it. Everyone will, and when this finally gets to court, understand what you're walking into. This won't be a quick hearing with a slap on the wrist. This will be a full trial. Evidence presented. Witnesses called, testimony under oath, the truth spoken out loud in a way that makes it impossible to deny. The opposing side will throw everything at you: constant objections, attempts to exclude evidence, attacks on your witnesses, technical arguments about jurisdiction, statutes of limitations, standing. They'll try to drown the truth in procedure, but none of it is going to work. Your attorney will be ready, calm, precise, strategic. Every objection will be met. Every attempt to suppress evidence will fail. Every technical argument will be dismantled because when the truth is this documented, this traceable, this supported, delay becomes pointless, and when your attorney presents your case, it will be clear and compelling. Documents that prove fraud, expert testimony confirming signatures were forged, bank records showing transfers, timelines that expose coordination, and the pattern that makes it undeniable. This was not random, this was planned. Chosen one, this is what restoration looks like before it arrives. It gets loud. It gets tense. It gets messy because darkness panics when it realizes it's about to be exposed, but stay steady. Stay sharp. Stay anchored because the same system they used to hide the theft is now being used to reveal it and return what belongs to you. Chosen one, the records are going to speak like thunder, bank statements that prove misappropriation. Property filings that expose theft, transfers that don't make sense unless someone was taking what didn't belong to them. When your attorney lays it all out, it's going to be overwhelming, not because you can't handle it, but because it will be undeniable. The other side will be forced to put people on the witness stand to defend what they did, and that's where everything collapses because liars can perform in private, but they fall apart under cross-examination. They can't keep timelines straight. Details shift. Stories change. Contradictions surface, and the truth has a way of destroying false testimony without even raising its voice. Watch their faces when the evidence is presented. Watch for that moment when reality finally lands, when the color drains out of their skin, when the panic shows up in their eyes, when they realize the judge sees through everything and no story is being bought. That's the moment understanding dawns. The fight is lost. The judge will ask direct questions, clean questions that cut through legal jargon like a blade through fog. Not long speeches, not dramatic declarations, just simple truth checks that leave nowhere to hide. Did you take money that belonged to someone else? Did you know it wasn't yours? Did you do it anyway? Simple questions with damning answers, and when the verdict comes, it won't be partial. It won't be a compromise. It won't be a quiet, watered-down win. It will be definitive, a complete victory. The court will rule that the money and property are yours. The courts know it, the universe knows it, and most importantly, you know it. You knew it all along, even when everyone told you were wrong, even when you doubted yourself, even when it felt impossible that the truth would ever surface. Now the delay tactics are finished. There's nothing left that can keep what belongs to you away from you. Every maneuver has been exhausted. Every loophole has been closed. Every lie has been exposed. The games are over. So build something magnificent with this wealth. Build something that honors where it came from. Build something that serves your assignment. Build something that makes the world better. That's how you turn a painful chapter into powerful testimony. Help other chosen ones who are walking through similar fires. Share your story. Offer guidance. Provide resources. Be the person you wish had been there at the beginning of this journey, because when you become someone else's safe place, you turn your experience into their hope. This is your new beginning. You're starting from security, from abundance, from options. Now, instead of lack, you have leverage. Instead of desperation, you have decisions. You have the freedom to choose based on what you want, not what you can afford. The universe is setting you up for the next phase, and this inheritance isn't the end of your story. It's the opening of a new chapter, one where you operate from power instead of limitation, where you build instead of just survive. You made it through. You stood in truth. You fought for justice. You trusted divine timing even when waiting hurt. You refused to let theft become permanent. You claimed what was always yours. The big payback is complete. Justice has been served. Your birthright has been restored. The chosen one has risen, and now the universe is ready to show you what you can do with the power and resources you were always meant to carry. Welcome to your destiny.